Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and tonight we've got WillND. It's the college football coaching carousel, transfer portal news, and bowl preview show. There's so much to talk about. It is a crazy time of year. Christmas is coming around the corner, but college football does not relent at all whatsoever. There's just tons of news going on. It's going to be a blast to talk about all of this stuff. But what are your first thoughts, Will, as we get into this show? Thanks for coming on, man.
Coaching carousel and the transfer portal, man. It's so much to keep track of, man. It's hard. I didn't even know about one of the coaching changes that was going on right now. I'm just trying to keep track of everything, man. But it's a wild ride.
I mean, it's insane. Like, for me, sometimes I'll notice something like 8 or 9 days after it happens. Like, I don't even see it. It just floats, through the cracks of the
Mm-hmm.
news. I don't even know what's going on. And then it happens. And then I'm like, wow, that actually happened. It's like a week ago. It's just unbelievable. And then the rumors, I mean, guys, are they going here? Are they going there? So it's just unbelievable. And it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. But as you see on the screen, we've got the coaching carousel up first. And these are newer hires here. They have not been, happening like for too long. It hasn't been like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But John Sumrall, that he's now going to Tulane. He was the former Troy coach. That's a tough loss for them because he had a good run there, a really good run. And then a guy that Will knows about very well is replacing him at Troy.
Yeah.
Jared Parker, the Notre Dame offensive coordinator, is now the Troy head coach. What are your thoughts on both these moves, man?
John Summerall, heck of a run at Troy, man. I mean, he put Neil Brown to shame, man. He made what Neil Brown did look pretty kind of weak compared to what he did, man. And I think Willie Fritz is a legend of college football, of course, as Jeff Traylor said right before their game started. hmm And I'm sure that's a tough loss, but for them. But I think John Summerall is a very good replacement. I think he'll do a great job over at Tulane. And Jared Parker, man, this is crazy, man. Like, imagine Alex Grinch getting a head coaching job. I mean, I think Jared Parker is not as bad as Alex Grinch, but man, this is crazy that he failed and then at Notre Dame and then got a head coaching job, man. It's crazy how it works. I mean, the Irish were putting up 39 points a game, but any time they played a team with a competent defense, they just couldn't put up the points.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, well, it's
yeah,
kind of like when Tommy Rees, went to Alabama this past year. Everybody was like, wow, he didn't really do that good at Notre Dame. And now he's going to Alabama. Even though I feel like he's done a pretty good
he's
job at
done.
Alabama overall.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, he's kind of. I mean, when I was watching the Georgia game, I
mm,
felt like I'm like, okay, I recognize this game plan. It's what he did against South Carolina. He's doing it against Georgia, and it's working. I was like, holy crap.
mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah, but Jared Parker, to your point, I mean, he didn't do that well overall.
yeah.
I mean, granted, the wide receiver core for the Fighting Irish, it's a little suspect, but still, they should have done better than what they did. And now he's getting a head coaching job at a school that has had a great run, like you said. John Sumrall, what he did there was incredible, better than Neil Brown, and great hire for Tulane. As you can see right here,
hmm
they've got the grade on. It's a grade A. I mean, I agree. I think that's a fantastic move, for Tulane. Because losing Willie Fritz, that's a tough loss. I mean, he's an older guy. He's like 63 years old. He's going to Houston. A lot of people probably felt he would stay at Tulane, but, maybe just wants another job that's, a bit bigger before he's done. But that is tough to lose him. And then they have on here, they give it a B plus on the hire, so they don't have it, being that much of a negative. But with him having a lot of question marks, it's kind of one of those deals where Troy could start going in the wrong direction. But the good thing that helps a guy like Jared
hmm
Parker is that the program's in good shape. But in
hmm
this era of the portal and NIL and all this craziness, the high standards that Sumrall did. Do you think that he will succeed there, or do you think that he'll not, he'll fail, not have success?
Well, depend what is. I don't know. Depend if the coaching staff stays at Troy. If you just like, if it's like a smooth transition and like the coaching staff isn't that different, I feel like he'll probably do all right at Troy.
Mm-hmm.
But if he has to come up with his own staff, I don't know. It could get shaky.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, hopefully it'll work out. I mean, I think it is going to be a downgrade overall. They probably won't be as good, but if they can just stay 7-5, 8-4, make bowl games, that probably will be good enough. Another hire though that happened recently, and this was a little further back, and we did not talk about it last week. Derek Mason, the former Vanderbilt head coach, replacing the legendary Rick Stockstill at the program. He was there for 18 seasons. And he got fired because they were starting to lose. He had a bad run. But now Derek Mason's the coach. Obviously, Middle Tennessee State and Vanderbilt are very close to each other. Vanderbilt's in Nashville. Middle Tennessee State is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is like an hour south of Nashville. So geographically, they're in like the same spots. So they give it an A on the grade. What's your thoughts on this hire?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it should work. I mean, Rick Stockstill was kind of starting to lose it a bit. I mean, he's an older guy. I believe he got fired, didn't he or did he just resign?
He got fired, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Derek Mason should have success there. He did all right at Vanderbilt. I mean, he kind of just took what James Franklin did, wrote it out a bit, and then Vanderbilt turned back into kind of what we're used to with Vanderbilt. So, not really that impressed with what he did there. But, hey, he seems like a smart guy. Should be able to recruit the area well. He'll do all right. I mean, 7-5, 8-4 probably.
That's all you got to do. Get more fans back. I mean, the fans at Middle Tennessee State was abysmal on those Tuesday nights. I know it's Tuesday night, but come on. It seemed like there's like 100 people there. It was unbelievably bad out there. There's no one there. But like you said, he knows the area. He should be able to recruit there fairly well, hopefully. And, being a defensive-minded guy, I think that they can have success. Another hire we didn't talk about either is Bronco Mendenhall. He got a job, I think, in New Mexico. Former BYU and Virginia head coach. That's kind of out of left field there. Grade A+, they like to hire. I always thought it was weird that he resigned from Virginia the way he did because they were doing well, and then he just left.
I heard
now they're horrible.
I think he was just burnt out. That's what I heard.
That could be the case.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's a good hire because, obviously he used to be the BYU coach, so he's been out west before, and he's a winner. I mean, he has a above 500 record at, schools that aren't, I guess you would say, always great. So, I mean, I would say that it should work out. New Mexico is a tough place to win at, though. They haven't been good in a while.
Yeah. But, I mean, Virginia didn't do much in a while either, and he got Virginia into, they won the Coastal. I mean, that's not saying much, but for Virginia, that's saying something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, the hire works out. I want all the hires to work out. I've always been that way. But, yeah, they got a Wyoming defensive coordinator replacing Craig Bowl, and they give that a C+. They're not as high on that hire because, he doesn't have head coaching experience. But that's another one.
I mean, neither does Jared Parker, and they give him a B+.
Well, I mean, it's probably because he's from Notre Dame, right? It's a bigger program. It's kind of biased there, I guess, in that regard. And with this one, you've got him just being the Wyoming defensive coordinators. It's interesting. You got a few comments here. Jackson says, "What's up, Only Talk Sports Nation?" Appreciate that, Jackson. Jason says, "This is a celebration show for FSU landing Marvin Jones Jr. out of the portal." We'll get to the portal. We're going to get to the portal. There's so much to talk about with that. Jackson says he thinks Jared Parker being hired by Troy has Tim Beck vibes written all over it.
Man.
That's low.
It's Jared Parker. I mean, I guess he's not the same as Tim Beck, man. I mean, I thought Tim Beck was pretty bad at NC State. So.
Will's trying to defend him. He's trying to defend him. Hey, the bar's low, though. Tim Beck really struggled. I still don't know why they hired him. It doesn't even make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And then Jackson says Bronco Mendenhall at New Mexico is Craig Bowl vibes and Barry Odom vibes written all over it. So he's higher on that. Carcast 49ers top appreciates for being. This is how you guys doing? Doing really good. Jason also is probably exhausting coaching at Virginia. Yeah. That makes sense. I get it. RC says just coming in to hit the live. Let's have a great show. Thanks for being here, RC. We got a great show on tap. We're just starting out with some coaches. I don't really think there's many more to talk about. You talked about that one before, the one going to James Madison. You were like, yeah, I guess beating BC or whatever, losing close BC was good enough to get the job. That's funny there. Then there's not much else. So that's Jeff about Kilway. It with the
what's the last? Is there the last
coaches?
One?
Yeah, he's going to Nevada. Texas co-defensive coordinator. He's the new Nevada head coach.
Well, I thought Pete Kwiatkowski was really the one pulling the strings on the other co-defensive coordinator at Texas. I thought he was the one that was really doing well. So I don't know.
That's interesting right there. They got it as an A, so they like the hire.
Okay,
Combination of FCS coaching success and ties to the air make him a perfect fit. So they think it's a good hire. I mean, I don't know much about him. I mean, because he doesn't really have, other than being a co-defensive coordinator and being at smaller schools, don't really have much, higher school credentials for coaching. But you got to start out somewhere, and we'll see. Nevada's been struggling the last couple of years. Rob J says, "What up, insomnia stinks? Time to watch some college football talk." Appreciate that, Rob J.
Go
Hopefully
Irish,
get some sleep
Rob.
after the
Go
show.
Irish, my friend. Fellow Irish fan, Rob. Yeah.
For sure. So we got the portal. The portal is just insane. Like there's just so much movement. You can't even keep up with it half the time, but we're trying our best to cover as many guys as possible. The top guy in the portal, it's not Dante Moore, but it's been Aiden Childs from Oregon State. He finally went to Michigan State this week. So
we all
that's
thought
off the board.
we all thought
expected.
that was gonna. We all thought that was gonna happen because his head coach Jonathan Smith went to Michigan State and he followed him along. And who knows, man? Maybe the Spartans at least got to make a bowl this year, man. They got to at least go 7-5, I think, to show that they're going in the right direction. So hopefully for Aiden Childs and Jonathan Smith's sake, they can get to going at Michigan State. It'll be interesting to see how fast they improve.
Situation at Oregon State. Didn't have the resources. There was a lot going against him, but he was able to win. Now he's going to Michigan State where there are more resources, but unfortunately, you're in a tough Big Ten that's got some of those Pac-12 schools going in, and you've got teams like Indiana and Rutgers trying to compete. There's a lot of teams just shuffling around. Somebody's got to make the bowls. We'll see. Michigan State, they've got enough, NIL to compete, not at the top probably, but in the middle pack of the Big Ten. And Aiden Childs has a lot of talent. I mean, that's why he's the highest rated guy, according to 247 Sports, in the portal. And again, it makes sense for him to follow his coach. I think they can possibly win 6-7 games with him, especially if he can develop. But up next, I cannot believe this. I honestly cannot believe Dante Moore was at Oregon, went to UCLA, and now he's going back to Oregon again to be a backup, because there's no way that Dylan Gabriel is going to lose his starting job. There's no way that Dante Moore is going to pass out Dylan Gabriel. If he does, that would be absolutely insane. This is nuts, though. I don't know what you think about it, Will. Have your thoughts. What do you think about it? Because there's a lot to discuss with this one, but I just think this is a bad move by Dante Moore. I know NIL, I get Nike money, and there's a lot of factors here. But and even if you can say he's still a young guy, he can develop behind an experienced quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, and eventually start. Why transfer out from a program that you were starting at? You could have gone somewhere else to start, and now you're going to be a backup. This just doesn't make sense.
If I was Dante Moore, you know where I would have went, Jeffrey?
Well, we mentioned Miami's a possible landing spot, but that's not the best option for him.
I would have went to Michigan.
Well, there was a lot of Michigan fans saying that, to be fair. They were saying that he was an option.
He's from Detroit, which is only like an hour from Ann Arbor. And I think he would have had a good chance to start. I mean, J.J. McCarthy is going to the NFL. We all assume he might come back. But I thought he would have a good chance to start there. I would have went there.
Yeah, someone like J.J. McCarthy, though, I would come back because of the fact you talk about how quarterback heavy this draft is. If he comes back another year, he could really move up the boards if he has another good season, because it's a loaded QB draft. So I don't know. I mean, he could leave. If McCarthy left, I wouldn't blame him. But yeah, Dante Moore, I just think this is a bad move. I mean, I understand, like Jack said, I think Dante Moore's sitting behind Gabriel, but I hope he takes all the advice from him and learn from. I mean, you can learn from an experienced quarterback, but my thing is why did he not go to Oregon in the first place? Because he was committed to Oregon. He could have sat behind Bo Nix this past season, but instead he went to UCLA, started, struggled, and now he's leaving to be a backup. It just, to me, makes no sense, especially when you consider the fact that a guy of his talent, power schools in the country. I mean, there's a lot of ACC schools that he could start at. I mean, we're going to get to another guy that just went to an ACC school. So, I mean, Dante Moore could have gone there to an ACC school. He could have gone to a Big 12 school. I don't understand going to Oregon and being a backup. I don't get it. To me, it was a bad move by Dante Moore. He shouldn't have made this move. Again, money. He's going to make a lot of it. That's great. But he's not going to start next season, and I believe that he should have gone somewhere where he could have played. And if not, then he should have just stayed at UCLA.
Yeah. Well, hopefully your connection can improve a bit, Jeffrey. You've been a little choppy, but I think we got the idea.
Sorry about that. I'm hoping it's not too bad.
Cam Ward still looking to see who'll give him the most amount of money.
Yeah, Cam Ward, I keep seeing Ohio State thrown around, and there's, other schools involved. I think Miami's involved as well. But, I mean, Miami, he'd start for sure at Miami. Ohio State, he'd have to fight for the job. He probably would win the job there as well.
Ohio State fans are also thinking now the Malik Murphy will be their guy. Just went to the portal from Texas, which is kind of sad. Guy? Yeah.
But there's no experience involved there. At least Cam Ward has experience. You're going to give up Kyle McCord to get Malik Murphy, who has barely played. That would be a bad move to me for Ohio State. I know he's talented, but he doesn't have the experience.
I think it's pretty weak that he didn't stay with this team that's going to the playoff and enter the portal. I mean, that's a little sad.
Well, I mean, it's insane. This has never happened before, really, until this year, because you even look at Alabama, Tyler Buckner. He could have transferred, to go to the lacrosse team after the playoff, right? But nope, he's in the portal now, and he's going back to Notre Dame lacrosse before, the playoffs even happen. So, yes, that's obviously becoming more of a thing. I mean, if it was me and I was on one of these teams, I would want to stay, and be able to celebrate with my teammates if we win the whole thing. But instead, I'm going to leave the program and already train. That I don't get it. I don't understand that at all. Another reason why the portal will be a lot better if it was after the season. After, the playoffs and the bowl season, but it is what it is. The portal opens now, but I don't know. That just doesn't make sense. But Cam Ward, I mean, Miami, he would start, like I said. Ohio State, it's going to be interesting. He probably wouldn't be guaranteed to start, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with Cam Ward, but it definitely does seem like NIL is a factor here, and probably who does the most. Rob J says, Moore reminds me of JT Daniels chasing a school and never having success. And it's looking that way, and that's not smart. I mean, when you have a team that has you as their guy and you just leave, and now you're basically playing second fiddle to another guy, it makes no sense. I mean, it's not a good move at all. But all these quarterbacks, they make the moves they do, so we'll see.
I'll say this about Tyler. I mean, Tyler would have definitely not played even if Jalen Milroe got hurt. If Quinn Ewers gets hurt, they're going to have to go to Arch Manning.
Yeah, but Arch Manning's 5-star recruit, top guy. I mean,
well, so Malik's more developed. Malik's more developed than Arch, so
that's true. Should stay is my point. I think all of them should stay at their schools, and then they should, be able to transfer after it's over. Stay with your team. That's what I would do. But it is what it is. You mentioned Malik Murphy already. I mean, this is basically the highly talented section right here. I mean, you got Malachi Nelson, too, for USC. He just entered the portal. So somebody's going to be getting a very talented but, still fairly inexperienced quarterback with both of these. Murphy's more experienced than Nelson, but what do you think about both of them?
Malachi Nelson, I mean, this is bad for USC because USC now doesn't have a 5-star quarterback on their roster right now. And they're going to be like, hey, we're going to get Will Howard. We'll be all right. But Will Howard is probably going to be the least talented quarterback Lincoln Riley's worked with since he was at East Carolina.
Yeah, and see, the thing is this is the issue when you talk about USC, because their defense is bad. And we know they just got a new defensive coordinator. We know that they're probably going to try to up that side of the ball, but they're going to have to. If they get Will Howard, they're going to have to up the defense. Because if not, they're going to lose games. And there's no way they're going to win in the new Big Ten with that type of defense with a quarterback like Will Howard. They've only been able to get by for the most part because of how talented Caleb Williams was. But like you said, now they're going to lose Caleb Williams. Now they're losing Malachi Nelson. Why is Malachi Nelson leaving? And why is USC going after Will Howard? Why didn't they go with their talented guy?
I mean, well, they're saying it's because Malachi Nelson got hurt and couldn't develop during the season.
Man, this is just getting crazy. I mean, you talk about Sam Hartman not playing in the bowl game for Notre Dame, even though he's not even probably going to barely get drafted high, and for Notre Dame to get some of their other guys some experience. And you got Ohio State booting out Kyle McCord, for like it's insane. These guys, they're just moving all over the place for a variety of reasons. It's fun, but it's also in a way kind of sad because there's like no loyalty with the players and even sometimes these teams anymore. They just want to ship you out if you're not ready. I mean, I hope USC knows what they're doing. All I know is they got to get a good defense. They're not going to win games. Because there it is. Will Howard, 100% chance, according to 247 Sports, to USC. Again, they're not going to win big games with Will Howard if their defense stinks. They have to get a good defense.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I know maybe Will Howard's kind of similar to Baker when Lincoln Riley started working with Baker. Maybe that's probably the hope. Because I don't think Baker was that highly touted when he went into Oklahoma. And then he turned into a quarterback that had a good, very strong last 2 years with Oklahoma. So that I guess they're going to hope that they can make it happen with him.
I think that, Will Howard's a good player. I really do. I like the way he plays. I think he's one of the, probably 20 best quarterbacks, 20 to 25 best quarterbacks in college football when he's healthy and playing well. He can be that good. Probably around the 20 to 20. Something like that, you would say top 20-ish kind of quarterback.
Would you say that about the quarterback below him?
Riley Leonard? That's tough. I don't know. I mean, Riley Leonard's good, but he needs more development passing the football. Yeah. He's a great runner, but I think he needs more development to become that really good. I think Will Howard's a little bit ahead of Leonard right now, but I think Leonard can become better than Howard with development.
Well, hopefully Gino Guidugli can develop him.
Have you heard any intel on Malik Murphy and Malachi Nelson on where they possibly are going to go? You already said Ohio State with Murphy.
Malachi. I know the Ohio State people talked about him a bit.
So Ohio State after everybody?
Pretty much. They've been looking at all their options.
My internet keeps cutting out, man. You might have to run the tab if it keeps doing it because my computer's running this. And it keeps freezing.
All right,
hopefully
I'll change it up. I'll change it to mine. I just gotta bring
I hate that. I hate that because I like doing it, but it's just not working right now.
All right.
If yours messes up, we can try to go back to mine.
My internet should be fine. We're going to position. Oh crap. Okay, my computer's being crazy. Okay.
Oh no. My computer works, but sometimes it works okay. It's just not working very well tonight.
All right, I got it. Share screen. All right, Rob and Jason both like Malik Murphy. There we go. Actually, no, I'll go. There we go. That's good.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Hopefully, I won't keep cutting out now.
There we go.
Yeah, but as I was saying, though, to your point, I think that, Riley Leonard is a guy that can become better than Will Howard. I feel like Will Howard doesn't have as much room to grow. He doesn't have as much improvement ahead of him, but I could be wrong. I mean, Will Howard had a great season the year before. He kind of struggled more this year, but I don't know if it was injuries. I don't know what it was, but I just think USC, they're getting a downgrade in talent anyway, regardless, for Malachi Nelson and obviously Caleb Williams with Will Howard. But we'll see. Like I said, USC, they think that they're doing the right thing. And Notre Dame, I feel like as long as Leonard just stays healthy and keeps.
All right, you're back.
I cut out again?
Yeah.
Why do I keep cutting out? I'm not even doing the screen anymore. Unbelievable.
Okay. Should we scroll down a bit? Brock Vandergrift, we talked about that already.
Mm-hmm. We did that last week. Finn's going to Baylor. That's new. What do you think about that?
I mean, good pickup for Baylor, man. I mean, Baylor's really got to get it going after 2 bad years in a row. Not even making a bowl this year. It's a big year for Dave Aranda, 2024.
Yeah, he's a talented guy. Finn is, showcased his ability at Toledo. It's always tough to make the jump to the Power 4 schools. Since I gotta say Power 4, Power 5's gone.
Yeah.
But Baylor's struggling. They had a bad year this past season. Dave Aranda, another bad season might be the nail in the coffin for him. So they need to get back to at least 6-7 wins, which no Texas and Oklahoma you would think would help him be able to do that. And maybe Finn will be that guy, but they're going to have enough talent around him because he's not going to be able to do it all on his own.
Yeah, hopefully Baylor can at least make a bowl this year. They got to – I think 7 to 8 wins is a good goal for them. Then we got Dylan Gabriel to Oregon.
Yeah, I think this is a great move. I think we talked about last week. It's the best move in the portal to me of all the guys. It's the best fit.
Are you surprised that he's only number 10 still?
I think he should be higher. I think he's one of the better guys in the portal. I feel like Dylan Gabriel's kind of underrated sometimes. I think part of it's because of where he's played at. It's because it's Oklahoma, big offense, passing down the field. And UCF, he was in a smaller league because UCF was in the American Conference at the time. But he puts up stats. Will he be able to do it at Oregon in the Big Ten? That's probably what's going to, decide in a lot of people's minds whether he's NFL material or not. If he can put up a big year in the Big Ten, with Oregon, I think that would really boost his draft stock and really get more people believing in him. I think he's really good. And I believe because of the fact Dylan Gabriel, even though he is a lot smaller than Bo Nix, they do kind of have similar play styles. I think it's a perfect fit for the Ducks, and I do not see Dante Moore winning the job. I know he's higher rated in the portal. I get that, but Dylan Gabriel has the experience. Dante Moore does not. And if anybody saw Dante Moore this past year at UCLA, he didn't play that well. And I know another year of development, but he's not going to probably be practicing with the ones in practice hardly ever. So I just don't see how this is benefiting Dante Moore. If anything, it's going to make Dylan Gabriel better because now he's going to have to, I guess you would say, work for the job more. But he'll win the job, and I think it's a great fit.
Kyle McCord to Syracuse. Do you like this fit?
I think it's great for Syracuse. Is it great for McCord? That's going to be determined. Yeah. Because that's a massive downgrade. You're talking about going from the Horseshoe to the Carrier Dome. It's not even in the same league. We're talking about 100,000 screaming fans to like 40,000 or 35,000, whatever the Carrier Dome holds. It's a big downgrade. Syracuse, they just do not get the coverage that Ohio State gets. Nowhere close. I just feel like for McCord, that's a big drop. Like, he's not going from like Ohio State to Nebraska, right? Like, if he went to Nebraska, and even though they've been awful for the last 20 years, especially 10 years, they still got massive fan support. It's still a big, arena, football stadium. Like, that would have just been, a good move for McCord to me, to go to Nebraska, even though they've been awful. I think the only reason this is a good move for McCord is that the ACC is so bad. It's been so bad lately. They're going to win games.
Yeah.
Syracuse is going to win games. And like you've mentioned, Will, a lot, Syracuse is doing quietly good in the portal. They're getting some good players. So if they have enough talent and McCord does not regress, a lot, because he's going to be going from Ohio State with all those good players around him to going to a school that does hard, and he can continue to be decent. I think that Syracuse can win 7, 8, 9 games with McCord and with, decent talent, because the ACC is up for grabs. I mean, we've seen not so great teams win 9, 10 games. Nothing against Louisville, but Louisville this past year, not one of the 15 or 20 best teams in the country. They won 10 games. We saw Pittsburgh do it with Kenny Pickett. A lot of examples of teams that were just good teams, but they won a lot of games. Virginia with Bryce Perkins. A lot of teams won games because the conference isn't good. So I think Syracuse has potential with McCord. He can't regress, and the talent needs to step up around him.
Yeah, man. My friend who's a Syracuse fanatic, man, he won't let me hear the end of it, man. He's so excited about his Syracuse football team.
Well, I think it's funny because it shows you the difference between Ohio State and Syracuse, though, because all the Ohio State fans, I'm so glad McCord's gone. He was terrible. Even though he led us to 11-1, it wasn't because of him. We won in spite of him. He's terrible. But then with Syracuse, it's like, we're getting the greatest quarterback in 20 years. He's from Ohio State. He's going to lead us back to great. It's unbelievable. I love the contrast. I love it. So Jason says he thinks Syracuse is a better destination than people think. They haven't been good, but they have a fan base and they have a great history. We'll see. I mean, I believe it's a great move for Syracuse. We'll just have to see if it's a good move for Kyle McCord. I think he could have gone to a school that was a bit bigger, and been able to start like Nebraska, even though, we're going to talk about Raiola later going there. But still, I think that it's a great move for Syracuse to get him. The fact they were able to snag him, big win.
No.
No, we couldn't even get the Will Rogers.
All right, we're back. Okay, we're back.
Will Rogers, perfect fit as well. Maybe not as good of a fit as Oregon with Dylan Gabriel, but I think that Will Rogers to Washington is a great fit. What are your thoughts? Did I cut out again?
Yeah, I heard a little. I got the idea. We talked about this last week. We did talk about this last week for a second. And yeah. I mean, Will Rogers, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who will be better, Will Rogers or Dylan Gabriel, because I do think they're similar quarterbacks, similar level quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel's just had more talent around him to work with. So that's what I'm going to be looking at for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody can hear me, but I don't want to repeat. But I basically was saying that Will Rogers, I think this is a perfect fit. Maybe not as good as Dylan Gabriel to Oregon, but he's an air raid guy. And Washington with Kalen DeBoer likes to air it out. You saw Michael Penix this year slinging it downfield, and I believe Will Rogers is going to do the same thing. Will Rogers is underrated at Mississippi State. How much success he had with Mike Leach, and unfortunately with him being gone, he just could not have the same success with a different scheme. I think with him getting back to being in a passing heavy attack, his numbers are going to go back up through the roof, and I think that he'll really showcase his ability. And thanks for being here, Edward. Appreciate it. It's not about the running, because that's where they're different. Gabriel can run. Will Rogers doesn't really run that much. But it's the passing part. Will Rogers can sling it anywhere. And he can sling it, 60, times a game. And Gabriel's done the same thing. So I believe both transfers are fantastic for both schools. Oregon with Gabriel, Rogers with Washington. Kalen DeBoer, he wants to keep Washington good after Michael Penix. It's not just a Michael Penix Jr. thing and then they're done. No, he wants to keep him good after that. And I think Rogers will have way more talent around him than he had at Mississippi State. And it will probably be easier for him to win in the Big Ten at Washington than it would be at Mississippi State in the SEC. It's a great move for Rogers and a great move for Washington. Total endorsement.
DJ. Everyone says DJ's going to Florida State, which would just be crazy that he's going to Florida State after being at Clemson, like the two rivals.
I don't think that's an abysmal move for
Mm-hmm.
Florida State or DJ. It's a great move for DJ because he's probably going to start, and that's a great program. But it would seem like DJ's a bit of a downgrade from Travis.
Mm-hmm.
I know Travis used to not be that good, and he got a lot better over time. And maybe they can develop DJ the same way because it seemed like DJ improved toward the end of the season. Like overall, the Oregon State season that he had this past year, it wasn't bad. Oregon State had a good year. He wasn't terrible. He'll have more talent around him at Florida State, and the competition's not too stiff. So, I mean, it probably would be a good move for DJ, but would Florida State be able to have the same success next year with him? Would they be able to go undefeated or like go 11-1? I don't know. We'll see how good the ACC is next year. That's going to play a part. I don't really think Cal, Stanford, and SMU are really going to mix things up at the top of the conference. But
I think SMU could win 8 games. Definitely.
I mean, I'm just talking about the top, the elites of the league. Florida State, Clemson, whoever else can rise. But I think that, I probably went frozen again. But I think that DJ, if he goes to Florida State, I think they can probably win 10 games. But he might be a little bit of a downgrade from Travis. But it'll be a great move for him to go there.
Yeah, it would be fun to see DJ at Notre Dame Stadium again.
A lot of people thought DJ was great when he came in for Lawrence, and then it went downhill. But I think he's regained some favor. Yeah. He's gotten a lot of people back on his side after the Oregon State season. Not everybody, but some people.
All right, Tyler Van Dyke going to Wisconsin.
I mean, this isn't as bad of a downgrade as Kyle McCord to Syracuse because, I mean, Miami's not Ohio State, and Wisconsin's better than Syracuse. And Camp Randall's a big stadium. They got a lot of fan supporters. So he's going to probably have more fans than Miami did. Miami is no one there. So, I mean, it's an upgrade. But, I mean, like, Wisconsin's offense, we're going to need to see, Luke Fickell's offense finally become what it wants to be, what it needs to look like. Because Wisconsin was fighting a losing battle this year. And we knew this was going to happen, Will, last year when he got the head coaching job. Everybody at Wisconsin thought it was going to be a, instant transition. It wasn't, because you had a lot of players from the old, staff that they recruited that were used to the old style of play. And when you've got Braylon Allen and Ches Malusi, even though Ches Malusi got hurt halfway through the year, but when you got two dynamic backs, you can't really go all in on your passing game. You kind of had to, run the ball more than Luke Fickell would like to. So to me, for Tyler Van Dyke to have success, he has to stay healthy, number one. And then you're going to have to see Wisconsin get more to where Luke Fickell wants that offense to look like it was at Cincinnati. And if that starts showing itself, if you start seeing Wisconsin become more of that pass-heavy attack, and they can get some more talent on the outside, because Wisconsin does not have a lot of that right now. If they can get more talent on the outside, I think it will be a good move both ways for Wisconsin and Tyler Van Dyke. But as of now, it's kind of an uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin, they're going to have a tougher time next year, man. The Big Ten West is no more. They're going to have to play a actual mixture of the Big Ten schedule, of course, with Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA. Mm-hmm. So they needed an upgrade from Tanner Mordecai, man. Tanner Mordecai didn't really work out.
Why did Tanner Mordecai leave SMU?
Because he wanted to go to the Power 5, I guess.
I get that. And see, this is the issue, because when we're talking about Scott Frost, you remember when Scott Frost left UCF for Nebraska? I'm sure you do. The hype was unreal. Everybody's like, great move. He's going back to his alma mater. It didn't work. And then what happens? People are like, that was a terrible move. He should have stayed at UCF. You don't know until he ends up going to Wisconsin. It don't work. And since it didn't work, I mean, now he's out of eligibility, and that doesn't help him out because he was doing really well at SMU. He probably would have gotten maybe a look at the NFL when he was there, but now it's going to be harder for him to do that after the season he had at Wisconsin, where he didn't put up any stats hardly. So that's the problem. And plus, he got injured. So that's the thing. You don't know until they make the move. And it's just one of those things where Mordecai didn't work. Will Van Dyke work? I think, again, it will work only if Wisconsin starts to develop that offense that Luke Fickell runs, and it starts transitioning over with Wisconsin. But like you said, Will, the training wheels are off. The Big Ten West is dead. And you're going to have all those teams in the Big Ten, and Wisconsin and Iowa, those teams are going to have a hard time winning 8-9 games like they used to in the Big Ten West. It is going to, like, if Wisconsin and Iowa win 8 or 9 games in the new Big Ten, they've had a great season. It is going to be hard for them to achieve that. But I think Wisconsin is in a little bit better shape than Iowa is right now based off of what Wisconsin's trying to do, the coach that they have, and if Tyler Van Dyke can get back to some of the success he had at Miami. Because people forget, he did have success at Miami, especially before a lot of his injuries. So we'll see. He just needs talent around him.
Mm-hmm. And he also needs to not throw interceptions.
Can't throw interceptions. And Wisconsin fans got to be happy with 7 wins, 7-8 wins at the max, because it's going to be very hard to do much more than that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do a lot of things at once. Okay.
You're good.
We talked about Max Brosmer going to Minnesota. I mean, he has to be better than Athlon Kaliak-Manis. Man, it can't be much. He can't be.
Athlon Kaliak-Manis had an awful season, man. It was abysmal. Minnesota can only go up from here. I mean, you talked about last week how talented he was at New Hampshire. You know, like for that level, can it translate to the Big Ten? It's the same thing with Tanner Mordecai where it really didn't. If it does, Minnesota can maybe be a bowl eligibility type of team, but if not, then they're going to be under 500 again.
Mm-hmm. Grayson McCall doing the reverse Tim Beck move.
That's almost like I'm not gonna I don't know how to even finish that sentence. That's like a double cross. That's like a come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna go against the grain. Tim Beck coming to Coastal, and now you go to NC State where he came from. That's hilarious. That really, really is. I mean, Grayson McCall, he needs this.
Yeah.
If he's gonna have any shot to get back to, favor with, I guess, draft scouts, because he did have some potential and hype in that regard at one time. But I believe, even though it was great for Coastal that they were able to keep him another year, because they did end up making a bowl game this season, Grayson McCall needed to leave the previous year. And I know the whole debacle with Florida, a lot of people thought he was going there. And then I think maybe it could have been academics. I don't really know the full scoop on that. But McCall ended up returning to Coastal. But him returning to Coastal hurt him more than it helped him, because they didn't have as good of a year. He got injured. And now people have just kind of forgotten about him. So he's going to have, success at NC State this year if he's going to build up back any of his draft stock at all. And, NC State, again, it's the ACC. I'm not ragging on the ACC, but it's not a great league. NC State can win 8 or 9 games with McCall, and he can just put up 20 touchdowns, 5-6 picks, as a benchmark. And if he can do even better than that, then he'll make him look a lot better. And NC State, I think, can win 8 games with him if he stays healthy.
It's so funny, the coincidence with Tim Beck, though.
It is. Like, the more you think about it, the more funny it gets, because it can't be a coincidence. It's so ironic.
Mm-hmm. All right. Nate Johnson going to Vanderbilt? That's a downgrade.
That is a downgrade. I mean, at that rate, you might as well have gone to the American Conference.
Yeah.
Why go to Vanderbilt? I mean, we're talking
good
about
education. Maybe he's not thinking football first. Maybe he wants to think about his post-football life.
I mean, that's fine. Like, I'm happy for him in that regard, right? I mean, academics are important, and I feel like a lot of times that gets forgotten about when it comes to, players. You think about go to Alabama, USC, Miami, these teams with NIL and great, success, not Miami, but, like recently. But, I mean, like Alabama, Texas, these big programs, Ohio State, Georgia, that's great. But academics are important. I can't stress that enough. They're very important, and what you do with that, especially if you're not going to be playing in the NFL, it's awesome. But really, I mean, Nate Johnson is a talented player. I mean, he needs to get better passing the ball because he can run. We know he can run. Maybe he could be what Mike Wright was the year Vanderbilt beat Kentucky and Florida. I mean, because Mike Wright using his legs and he was okay at passing. Maybe that's what they sold to Nate Johnson, and maybe academics are important to him. But Utah to Vanderbilt, I mean, that's just sad. I really hate it for him because if it's academics, he's making the right move there. But if it's for on-the-field success, he's not going to succeed at Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Rourke going to Indiana. The Hoosiers got a QB, 4-star rated transfer. Big leagues, Curt Cignetti. This is a good move because Curtis Rourke had a lot of success at Ohio. They've won games the last couple years, and his brother, Nathan Rourke's in the NFL, was in the ball league, and he was also at Ohio. So Nathan Rourke being in the NFL shows you Curtis Rourke got a talented brother there. And he had a lot of success at Ohio as well. He was injured this past year a bit, so his stats weren't as good. But if he can get healthy, and Indiana also has brought in Miles Cross, wide receiver from Ohio. So they got a little chemistry there with a wide receiver coming over to Indiana. The Hoosiers are working hard in the portal. They're getting some good players. I think Curtis Rourke could lead Indiana to a bowl game if Cignetti can continue his winning ways as a coach. Bring that to IU. Curtis Rourke, if he has any shot at going to the NFL, probably has a better shot at Indiana than with Ohio.
Do you think he'll be better than Brandon Sorsby?
Rob J says IU on a roll. That's a great question. The sad thing about it, though, Mason doing it again. Indiana's going to win like 3 games next year. Con games, Indiana. Then, oh, man, I froze again. But Indiana's got 3 easy non-conference games, and then after that, all you got to do is win 1 conference game, and they're already at 4. But I get it, Jason. They're probably not going to be that great, but, you know, they maybe can get 6 wins. But to answer your question back again, Will, I believe that the only thing that stinks about this is that Brendan Sorsby is young with a lot of room for growth. Whereas Curtis Rourke, this is his last year of eligibility. So, I don't know. I think that it's a good move since Indiana lost Sorsby, but I still probably would have wanted Sorsby because of him being able to continue to improve and develop as a young guy. But Indiana made this move because Taven Jackson and also they got a couple other guys, Brock Lowry and Alberto Mendoza, are so young that they need a lot of time to develop. And Indiana's in on Tyler Cherry as well. Tyler Cherry, the former Duke commit, he's down to Indiana and Michigan State. So Indiana could get Tyler Cherry as well. We'll see if that happens. But I think that Rourke's a little bit below Sorsby just in the fact Sorsby could develop. But I think this is about the best Indiana could do.
All right, let's move.
Rob J says a roll is winning 3 games, so everybody thinks Indiana's only going to win 3 games.
I think I don't know. I'm hopeful for the Hoosiers.
I think that he's a winner. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. Jordan McLeod will be interesting to see where he goes now that Indiana made their move.
Yeah, they got Rourke, they got Mendoza, they're going after Tyler Cherry. Doesn't seem like they're pursuing McLeod, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people assume they would.
Brandon Sorsby, we talked about. KJ Jefferson, where will he go? That's where I'm interested in because he's got to stay in the Power 4, right?
He's only rated as a 3-star transfer. They obviously didn't see Arkansas when they were winning because he was good when they were winning.
And he was good against Florida. I mean, Florida's defense stinks, but he looked good against Florida.
Rob J says, I remember the Mallory day, which ages me. Yeah, 80s and 90s. Mallory got him to some bowl wins. But yeah, KJ Jefferson, the thing is will he be able to recover from the end of the Arkansas tenure era there where he fell apart? And I know a lot of it was because he didn't have enough talent around him as he used to. And their O-line was abysmal this past season. Yeah. But will he be able to recover from that? And I think he needs to stay in the Power 4 if he's going to have any NFL chance. It's harder to go to the NFL from a group of 5 school. It's not impossible, but it's harder because you are trying to convince the NFL that you can play at the highest level of football in the NFL after coming from a group of 5 school. That's not easy. You can do it, but it's a lot easier to convince them when you're winning at the highest level in college football in the Power 4. So hopefully KJ Jefferson can find a school. Do you think maybe an ACC school out there, he could go to, or another big, like a Big 12 school, lower tier? I mean, because a lot of these schools are filling up. There's not as many spots as there used to be.
Maybe USC will. No, USC's going with Will Howard. That would be a funny mix.
KJ Jefferson to USC. I don't see that happening. And Miami, I mean, they're trying to go after Cam Ward, and we'll see where he goes. But I mean, the dominoes have to fall.
How about Oregon State for KJ?
It's not a terrible move because Oregon State, I mean, what are people even going to consider them? Power anything? I mean, they're like flirting between the Power 4 and the group of 5.
They're like what BYU used to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible decision because it wouldn't be like you're falling off a cliff to a really small school, but we'll see. Oregon State's just in a weird spot. I think KJ Jefferson just has to go to a place where he knows he's going to have success and he's going to be able to improve on any draft stock he has left, because he had some a couple years ago.
Sam Levitt, that's a bit of a downgrade going to Arizona State. I mean, in terms of competition, for sure.
Well, he's a young guy, right?
Yeah.
Arizona State just hasn't been able to land anybody of significance since Jaden Daniels. I mean, ever since he transferred to LSU, they've been a revolving door the last couple of years. It's just quarterbacks that can't become the guy. You remember when they got Drew Pine from Notre Dame, and then they got, I think, the grandson or something from Bear Bryant, or great-grandson. I forgot his name. He was at Alabama, but he went to Arizona State. But they've just gotten a lot of guys that haven't been able to become the starting quarterback.
Cal got their guy, Chandler Rogers from North Texas.
Yeah, Chandler. Yeah, Tyson. That's it. Hunter Tyson. I think that might have been his name. Yeah, Tyson. He just did not. He couldn't become the starter either. Chandler. This guy though. Oh no, I froze again. The funny thing about this guy, Will, though, is that he's transferred. This is his 5th school. Did you know that? This is his 5th. We're talking about JT Daniels, right? 4 schools. Chandler Rogers has transferred to 5 different schools. I'm going to pull it up because I saw this the other day. Somebody asked me about him. What were my thoughts on Chandler Rogers? And then I looked him up, and I'm like, wow, this is insane. This is insane. 5 different schools for this guy. It's trying to load.
Jeez.
Is it pulled up yet?
Yes.
There it is. Southern Miss, Blinn, that's small school, like community college maybe. Louisiana Monroe, North Texas, and Cal. 5 schools for this guy. So, I mean, he did well at North Texas this past year, given the circumstances, because North Texas didn't really have a good season. And he did all right at Louisiana Monroe. He seems to be an improving guy. But for Cal, I mean, is Mendoza out of eligibility? Fernando Mendoza, because he was the starting quarterback this past year.
I'll look it up. No, he's definitely not.
Yeah. So if he has more years left, then those 2 are going to be competing for the job. It's not even a guarantee Chandler Rogers wins the job. So it is what it is. I don't think it's a terrible move for Cal to get in another quarterback that could be their guy, especially if they think Fernando Mendoza needs more development, because he is experienced. You see a lot of experience right there. But the fact that he's been to 5 different schools, I don't know what that really means. I mean, he hasn't been committed to anywhere. He's just left. So Jason says, didn't Cam Newton go to Blinn?
Oh, that makes sense. That would make sense. Junior
Yeah.
college, community college.
Yeah, so that's crazy right there. I don't know. Chandler Rogers, definitely an interesting story with him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Going to 5 different schools.
AJ Swan going to go to LSU.
He's not going to start. I mean, would he?
I think he'd have a maybe. I mean,
I froze again. What did you say?
I think he has a chance to compete.
Well, I mean, I know Daniels is leaving, but I mean, who else they got? Because I mean, I can't keep up with everything.
Nussmeier, is that their other guy that played last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got Garrett Nussmeier. I don't think he's gone anywhere else. So I guess he would have a shot, but that's a big downgrade from Jay Daniels.
Yeah.
Nothing against Swan, but like he's not going to be able to get anywhere close to replicating what Jay Daniels did. And it would be the exact same situation as USC with Will Howard. They need to improve the defense. If LSU is going to be able to win with AJ Swan or Garrett Nussmeier, defense needs improvement because Jay Daniels carried that thing. He carried that team this year, winning 9 games with how abysmal that defense was.
Mm-hmm.
So USC, LSU, if you get Will Howard and AJ Swan, you need a better defense.
Mm-hmm. Matthew Sluka still looking for a home. Ty Thompson still looking for a home.
Man, Todd Thompson fall from grace. Only a 3-star transfer, according to 247. Even though he's a 5-star recruit. Oh man, Cam Fancher. Cam Fancher's leaving Marshall. Oh no, for Buckeye Mike. Oh no, Cam Fancher is leaving the Thunder Nerd. That's all we heard about this year, Will, was Cam Fancher and Rashid Ali. Marshall, he's gone. I'm sorry. That's just funny. That's funny. Sorry, Buckeye Mike. Cam Fancher is leaving. Where's he gonna go? I mean, I don't think he can go up. Oh man. Oh man. I don't know where Fancher's gonna go though. I mean, he's not gonna go to a Power 4 school, more than likely.
I'll look it up. Cam Fancher. LSU hosting Cam Fancher.
Okay, you would go with Swan, I'm sure, over Fancher.
Apparently, the fans hated him, according to.
The fans didn't like. Did they not like him because they think he's no good, or did they not like him because he rubbed them the wrong way?
The kid has been miserable.
That still doesn't answer the question. Miserable because he doesn't play well, or his attitude?
I guess he didn't play well. 11 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
Why would LSU host the guy that had 11 touchdowns and 11 picks at Marshall? Doesn't even make any sense. Wow. LSU, there's no way they're getting Cam Fancher. Unless he wants to be a backup.
Cam Fancher. Yeah. Well, we can look at this later. I don't know how much the chat cares about where Cam Fancher's going to go, but
they probably don't. You got Rob J here saying LSU going to take Underwood from Michigan. That's what he says.
Mm-hmm. Tyler Shugg, we talked about already. Max Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are some earlier ones.
Caden Hauser going.
ECU. I mean, I don't know much about him. I know he played some this past year because Noah Kim didn't do well at the beginning of the year, and then Caden Hauser came in, but he was all right. I mean, he threw a few picks. But, I mean, ECU should be able to – he'd be the starter
there.
Yeah. Oh, no, I went dead again.
Yeah.
My internet died. So I was saying, I don't know if you heard me, but I think that he could win 4 or 5 games at East Carolina. He was all right at Michigan State. He threw a few picks, but he wasn't a bad quarterback overall. He just needs development.
What do you think of MJ Morris replacing Talia?
It's a downgrade. I
Yeah.
mean, Talia Tagovailoa, that his success, he put up the best passing stats ever at Maryland, and I think in the Big Ten. I mean, he was incredible. Like I don't know if he has an NFL future of any kind because he's so small.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't really know. I know Bryce Young's in there, but he's struggling too. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Tua's brother's going to really be able to have a legitimate shot in the NFL. But no one can deny the success that he had in college at Maryland. They never really won anything significant, but they were always at least competitive. And he put up stats. MJ Morris is not going to be able to replicate that. I think he's talented. I think he has mobility, but I don't think he's going to be able to replace what he did.
And we got Taylon Green going to Arkansas to replace KJ Jefferson.
I think this is a horrible move. It's nothing against Taylon Green because I think he's solid for Boise. But for Arkansas, I don't know. I don't think that KJ Jefferson and Taylon Green are similar. I know a lot of people think they are because they're both bigger quarterbacks, and that's probably where Arkansas sees them as a fit because they're losing Jefferson. Taylon Green is a similar size quarterback, and they kind of have similar skill sets, but to me, he's not as good as KJ Jefferson when he was at his peak. Maybe, since Jefferson's been injured a lot, maybe Green's better than him now. We'll see what Jefferson can do at a new school. But I just don't know how Arkansas is really going to be able to win a lot of games in the SEC next season with Taylon Green, especially when Boise State was struggling to win games with him as well because he was turnover prone. I don't know. I just don't think it was a really good move for Taylon Green. I mean, if he has success and he boosts draft stock, it's great because he's got the size. I mean, all he has to do is cobble together a 22 touchdown, 7 interception type of year, and he'll probably be on draft boards just for his size alone. But I just don't know if it's going to work. We'll see. And like I said, he is similar in size to Jefferson. That's probably the appeal. Like Jason, Arkansas always seems to have giant QBs. That's probably why. But I just don't think it's really an upgrade in any way.
Well, yeah, not looking good for the Razorbacks, and not looking good for Sam Pittman's job security.
Yeah, and Mississippi State getting Blake Shapen. That's not
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have a good year at Baylor. Mississippi State's offense, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. Jeff Levy, I mean, he's used to working with better QBs. So, I don't know. The SEC just has too many teams competing for wins. It's kind of like the Big Ten. I mean, you're talking about Michigan State with Jonathan Smith trying to win 7 games. How many teams are going to be competing for 7 wins in the Big Ten? You talk about all the teams at the top, Penn State, USC, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, all those teams, Washington, and then you're going to have teams like Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State trying to get 7-8 wins. And then the SEC, you're going to have Arkansas, Mississippi State, and South Carolina, all these teams competing for bowls. It's going to be very hard to get there. That's why the Real thinks Kentucky's going to struggle. There's just going to be so many teams competing for 7 wins, 6-7 wins. And I don't know if Mississippi State can do that with Blake Shapen.
We have Max Brown going to Charlotte. Ooh,
it's probably a better move for Charlotte than it is for Max Brown. Yeah. I mean, it's probably not a good move for Max Brown because Charlotte's been abysmal last couple of years. I don't know what happened. Charlotte was actually good like 3 or 4 years ago. They had a couple of good seasons, and then they just trailed off. But it's like I said, I think for Charlotte, getting a guy like Max Brown from a program like Florida, I know that's not saying much because Florida's been struggling lately, but still I think that Max Brown has enough talent to at least provide a spark for that team that desperately needs something going their way.
Oh, AJ Duffy going to San Diego State.
I mean, San Diego State, they're in a weird spot. You know, they couldn't go to the Pac-12, still in the Mountain West. Brady Hoke's retiring. They haven't been as good the last couple years. I mean, coming from a program like Florida State, even though as a backup, I mean, obviously has some talent because he was recruited there, but it's just kind of one of those unknowns. You don't know how it's going to succeed. Same with Max Brown.
Hank Bachmeier, his brother Bear's a big recruit in the 2025 class.
I don't know what happened to Hank Bachmeier because when he was at Boise State, he had a couple good years, and then it just kind of started not happening. He was struggling, and then he goes to Louisiana Tech, and he doesn't really do that well. So I don't know if this is a great move for Wake because we don't know which Hank Bachmeier we're gonna get. If we're
He
gonna
might not start at right. He might not start at Wake either. He might have to be on the bench.
Mm-hmm. He might not. So I mean, we don't know if he's gonna ever get back to the success he had 3 years ago. If he does, probably good move for him and Wake. But if not, then he's probably just gonna be on the bench, like you said.
Mm-hmm. And then Bryson Barnes still looking for a home. The farmer. Oh no, Mitch Griffiths is leaving, so I guess Hank will get the job. He's going to replace Cam Fancher at Marshall.
It's not probably a bad move.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a terrible move. Marshall needed a QB. I mean, he might succeed there somewhat. Maybe win 6-7 games. I mean, it depends on what you think success is. If winning 6-7 games for Marshall's success, then it could work.
Mm-hmm. Destin Wade going to. I mean, I don't think that's probably just depth. Noah Kim going to Coastal.
Noah Kim. Oh no, Coastal Carolina. Will that work? Because Coastal is not looking good for next year.
Yeah.
I mean, they might not even be a bowl team next year the way they're looking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not trying to throw in the towel. It might not all be over, but Tim Beck, that offense, it did not look as good this year. And you're talking about Noah Kim, who struggled at Michigan State. Now he's going to be going to a team that their offense is not there. Can they win games? I mean, he has some talent, but I just don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah. No one wants him.
Sam Houston State. Something like that. I mean, or, I don't know, a program like that.
Drew Pine.
These guys are just battling to stay in the FBS, right?
Yeah.
Like they probably will get a job, but I don't know. That
I heard Drew might just be going back to Notre Dame or retire from football.
He's gonna go back to Notre Dame possibly to be a backup.
No, and just get the degree and quit football.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
Jeff Sims, we're reaching the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. All these guys, I mean, I'm not trying to rag on anybody because all these guys are good enough to play in college football, but these some significant. And I cut out again, but they're not going to have any success in anywhere significant. Like if they go anywhere, they're going to be the bottom of the barrel group of 5 team.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Sims at Nebraska. I mean, he had a bad year. I mean, Bo Allen, he's not going to start over Vandegrift.
No.
That's just a backup move.
Spencer Petras going to Utah State.
Yeah, I know. Remember last week we were talking about that because on the opt-outs page, it said that Spencer Petras was opting out, and we were confused. But I was like, no, he just transferred there. He could start, right? Maybe.
Imagine if Spencer Petras looked like 2 times better with the new coach.
That would be hilarious, though, if he actually did good there in Iowa. It would just prove Iowa's offense stinks. It would prove that their offensive scheme was the reason it was holding QBs back if Petras goes out there and has a good year. That'd be awesome.
All right, we're at the end of the quarterbacks.
I was about to say, if there's any more, I mean, we're not even going to know who they are anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys at the bottom, they're not going to go anywhere good. Unfortunately.
Trevor Etienne still not committed.
Any update on him? Like where he's possibly going to go? I think you kept saying Clemson last week.
Yeah.
Are they still in the hunt for him?
I'm assuming so. I haven't. Jordan Waters going to NC State's a good pickup.
Yeah, that's a really good pickup for the Wolfpack for sure. That will help out McCall to have a good running back next to him. That could be dynamic. Raleek Brown, though, for USC going to Arizona State. Talented guy. That's a massive downgrade for him, but good pickup for the Sun Devils. what do you think about that move? Rocket Sanders going to South Carolina. Do you think that's a lateral move, a downgrade, an upgrade? What are you feeling on that?
Slight upgrade.
Yeah, it's like barely an upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Like I was thinking the same thing because Arkansas is in bad shape right now,
Yeah.
but South Carolina's not much better.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's a good pickup for them because he is talented. Oh, Marcus Carroll, the Georgia State running back. I told you he's going to the Power 4. He's going to Missouri. I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were talking about him as being the best running back for Georgia State, not playing. That was going to hurt them in the bowl game. And I had a feeling because he had 1,300 yards last year at Georgia State. I was like, he's going to a Power 4 school, and Missouri picked him up. So that's a great addition for Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Chip Trayanum going to Kentucky, good pickup for the Wildcats.
I mean, he'll probably play significant snaps. I mean, he was fine at Ohio State. He just didn't have the speed to really be the back they're looking for because Ohio State wants the speed. He's just more of a, massive back, almost more like a fullback. But he'll have success there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He'll play.
Sam Franklin, don't know much about him.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Anderson, who Rocket Sanders is replacing, going to Memphis.
Probably will help Memphis out.
Yeah.
Memphis has been still pretty good. I mean, they're not garnering the headlines they were when they had Mike Norvell, but they're still winning 8-9 games. So it's a good move.
Yeah.
Wow, South Carolina got another guy.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's probably more of a bruiser, more of a Chip Trayanum like running back.
Yeah, so he'll be the backup. So they wanted to have, two running backs that would help them out. BC got a guy.
Mm-hmm. Chaney hopefully won't fumble when they're supposed to knee down.
Oh, man. I mean, it's insane how hilarious that play was. I mean, I felt so bad for Miami fan, but at the same time, it was hilarious. I mean, you blew the game. All you had to do was kneel. And you literally fumble the football because you run a play. And then you lose to Georgia Tech. And that's why Georgia Tech made a bowl game. If they lose that game, Georgia Tech wouldn't even have made a bowl game. So you can thank Miami blunders right there for Georgia Tech. You can thank them. But, yeah, if Chaney doesn't fumble, he should play for Louisville.
Yeah.
But Jordan's gone, right, the running back, or is he going to be back? Because that's
I believe he's gone.
So if he's gone, then, yeah, he'll play significant snaps.
All right. I don't know. We don't need to look at all the running backs. We took so much time doing the.
Yeah, Indiana picked up Justice Ellison from Wake Forest. He wasn't on the list yet. He was probably further down, but he's pretty decent pickup. He had like 600 yards last year. That's tough for Purdue.
Yeah.
Deion Burks. That's a big loss. Going to Oklahoma. That'll help them. Yeah, this is what Edwards said. He said Rocket going to the Gamecocks is a huge step down. They can't run block. I don't know what he was thinking. That's what he said.
Well, they gotta be picking up some people from the Florida line.
Mm-hmm.
But that's true. They couldn't run it.
No, Texas got a guy from Houston, Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fleming. The smoke on him is that he's going to Penn State. Julian Fleming.
That sucked for Syracuse. They were hoping they would get him.
Well, he still could, with McCord going there, but still a lot of people are saying Penn State. And that's a lot bigger of a program, and I'm sure he'd want to be at, still a program with a massive fan base. Nothing with Syracuse, but Penn State is better than Syracuse.
Ja'Cory Brooks going to Louisville.
Hey, I'm Asir. Appreciate you for stopping by. Yes, Ja'Cory Brooks. Austin was happy about this edition. Yeah. I don't know what happened with Ja'Cory Brooks, though. I mean, he had a great year in 2022. He had the great catch in 2021 that kind of put him on the map in the Auburn game. Yeah. That helped Alabama stay in the playoff race. And then this past year, he didn't play much. You had Bond and Burton, and Brooks didn't really play much. Like, he didn't have significant, passes thrown his way. So it stings that he fell out of favor with Alabama and didn't play much, but I think it's a good pickup for Louisville. I don't know if he'll be as good as Thrash. Maybe he could be, but I think that it's tough that Alabama was never able to really bring out all the talent in him because he does have a lot of talent.
Yeah, Bama's been
Edwards says that he was hurt. Okay. Well, if he was hurt, I mean, he could have come back and played this year, this next season, but it is what it is. Probably wants to be the feature guy.
Your boy with Donovan McCulley coming back.
Donovan McCulley coming back to Indiana. This is big. This is big news because Donovan McCulley, I'm not saying he's going to be an NFL receiver or not, but he's got the size, 6'5", 210. Caught a one-handed pass against Wisconsin. He was developing big time toward the end of the year. Former quarterback. He's really starting to come into his own as a wide receiver. And Curtis Rourke going to Indiana, I think that will be, help him out because Rourke can throw downfield. So huge for IU. And Indiana quietly doing some things in the portal. I know people still think they're going to stink. It's going to be tough in the Big Ten. A lot of great teams. But getting McCulley back, especially when Florida State, Ole Miss, other guys were looking at him, big for Indiana.
Raymond Cotterill, Drill has to be happy with that.
Yeah,
All right,
it's a big addition for them.
Let's move on to tight end. As Holden State's going to Tennessee. Good pickup for the ball.
That's big for them, big. Man, Justin Jolly, Indiana was not able to get him. They were recruiting him. He visited IU, but he went to NC State. That's a big pickup for the Wolfpack. They're doing good.
Yeah.
Being able to land him, they got the running back. They also were able to get McCall. So NC State quietly doing some solid things. Yeah, we're going to get to the O-line, but that's true as well, Hummus here. Carter Smith came back to IU as well. Big for the O-line. But yes, Justin Jolly, that's a big pickup for NC State. And Tennessee as well, getting a really good tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of big tight end names, though, after that.
Yeah, Irish should be all right at tight end with Mitchell Evans coming back, Cooper Flanagan entering his sophomore year. So,
how much better do you think Michael Mayer is than Mitchell Evans? How much better?
I mean, there's a gap there. But the Irish now with the portal, getting the receivers from the portal. I mean, I could have scrolled down more, but Irish fans are excited about their receivers from the portal that they won't need to rely on the tight end as much.
Yeah, they got the Florida International guy.
Yeah. And Bo Collins from Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. New receivers coach Mike Brown hopefully will do a good job there.
Yeah, Notre Dame definitely needs it for sure.
As we're looking at the O-line.
Yeah, all these guys are going to be impactful for wherever they transfer. You need an O-line. They aren't the flashiest names. People don't talk. They got froze again.
Yeah. You're saying
Like
they're not the flashy guys. Yeah. There he is, Carter Smith with
that's big because he was being recruited by a lot of schools, and he's only a redshirt sophomore this year. He was a redshirt freshman last year, so he definitely has potential to improve, and he could develop into an NFL offensive lineman because he's massive. Really big return for Signetti. Hummus Hero said Indiana guys just hanging out in the portal for a while too. Yeah, I mean they're just sitting there. Some of them are coming back, some of them are leaving, but we'll see if Signetti can bring any of them else back.
Mm-hmm.
But I was shocked that they were able to get both those guys back. Colorado got an O-line guy.
Zeke Correll going to NC State. Hopefully Zeke will do well there. He lost his job, but good guy.
Yeah, NC State's gotten a lot of the top guys, as you can see. They've got like the third best player, fifth best player in the certain positions. So that's big for them. Ole Miss got a guy.
Mm-hmm. We're looking at defense. Edge.
Ole Miss picked up the two biggest edge names in the portal. Wow. That's big for their defense, especially with Lane Kiffin being, more known for offense. It shows that they're trying to beef up the D.
They're trying to bring back the Lane Shark days.
Mm-hmm. Texas is the favorite for a guy from UTSA.
Marvin
There it
Jones-
is. Marvin Jones going to Florida State. That's what he was talking about earlier, Jason. That's big for them because anybody from Georgia that's highly rated, they're probably good players.
And R.J. Oben going to Notre Dame. That's a big pickup because he's going to go right to the spot where Javonte Jean-Baptiste has been playing this year on the edge. And he's been huge for Notre Dame this year, along with the two tackles, Howard Cross and Riley Mills, who are both coming back this year. So it's huge to have both of those guys back. And to have RJ.
Yeah, most of these guys at the top are really talented.
Yeah. And to have RJ Oben coming in to replace if we're going to get the same impact from those three positions on the D line, with hopefully Jordan Patojo having a better year. This year he was a little underwhelming with the D line. But those three guys stepped up, and if we can have that production again at D line, that's going to be huge for the Irish to have success in 24.
Yeah, Notre Dame doing a good job in the portal, like NC State, Ole Miss. It seems few other programs, even Indiana to an extent with getting guys back. But yeah, you're right with the pickups they've gotten. But the point I was making, I cut out, so I didn't know you were still talking. Sorry about that. But when you have all these guys at the top here, like the top 4, 5, 6 guys, all these guys are good. There's not much separating them.
Mm-hmm.
So like RJ Oben being 5th and Trey Moore being 3rd on the edge list, they're all good. All these guys are really talented. So whoever gets, the top 5 or 6 players at any position in the portal, you're getting some of the best players for sure. So Notre Dame getting a big pickup, Florida State and Ole Miss, and if Texas can get Trey Moore, all of them will be huge for their respective programs.
Mm-hmm. And looking at the D tackles, Walter Nolan going to Ole Miss.
Has he announced that yet, or is it not official?
Well,
right?
It's the crystal ball.
Because I'm seeing in the chat they're saying that Ole Miss, Hummus here said he thinks Ole Miss got a demonstrative defensive talent from A&M. They must have the number one portal class, Walter Nolan, but it doesn't say it as official yet. So if they do land him, though, that would be insane for them to get 3 of the top, like defensive line guys, edge guys. That would really beef up that defense and make it very hard to run on them. Walter Nolan, he's the highest rated guy in the portal. He
was the number 1 rated player in the 2022 class.
Yeah, he was a part of that number 1 recruiting class for A&M.
He was the number 1 player in that class.
Mm-hmm. And it's all disintegrated. Most of them are gone from A&M, which is tough for them. But yeah, I think that Ole Miss, they can land them. Their defense is definitely going to be better next season.
Mm-hmm.
Florida got a guy from Penn. And Washington got a guy from Arizona State on the D-line.
Mm-hmm.
USC got a guy from Vandy.
Yeah, I remember them talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at linebacker. Another old Chris Paul Jr., of course.
Yeah, we talked about that, the CP4. That was funny. That was a hilarious joke last week or 2 weeks ago. But yeah, Ole Miss, what are they doing on the defense here? They're doing great. I mean, there's no way their defense can be worse this season was last year. There's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, they are really, really putting in the work on that side of the ball. Hummus here says rumors Ole Miss ponied up $4 million for Nolan. If that's true, that's insane. $4 million for one guy. But it definitely shows you Ole Miss wants to have success on defense, so they really want to win. Looks like USC got a big linebacker from Oregon State. Cal got a guy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is my computer freezing up?
No, you're fine.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
The computer is, but you're good. I know I've been freezing all night.
Yeah. But yeah, Michigan looked like they're going to get a guy from Maryland.
Yeah, that's a tough loss for Maryland. Yeah, I mean it's tough because it's a revolving door both ways. Some of these smaller programs, they lose some of their best players to the bigger schools, but then they're able to get some of these guys from bigger schools that can't play. So it kind of evens itself out to an extent, but still tough. You see Georgia losing
More
two
the
of their
Georgia
top corner guys.
Yeah.
Probably young guys that haven't really been able to play. There's the guy from Clemson.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week. Missouri got him. That's big for them.
Looking at safeties now.
Yeah, there hasn't been too many new, updates like at some of the top guys. There's still a lot of guys out there that haven't decided yet, but the quarterback position, that was, there's some big names that have been off the board. There's going to be more next week.
Jordan Clark, of course, going to start at nickel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Arizona State, they've had a tough time sustaining success. Guys that are really good leave, and then they get scraps from other programs. Guys that just can't really develop. It's been tough for Arizona State. Looks like K-State might be losing a guy to Oregon.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, Notre Dame getting the #1 kicker, Mitch Jeter.
I like how they don't have anyone else listed on the kicker. There's more kickers in the portal than that. Because I know Indiana, Chris Freeman's in the portal. They don't even have him listed, but they got just one guy, and he's going to Notre Dame.
Apparently, he's like 96%. He's hit like 96% of his kicks, so.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's a good pickup for Notre Dame. A very important part of football. Special teams are bad, you're going to struggle.
Yeah. Of course.
Punter in Texas Tech got a guy that they barely listed on here as a 3-star guy.
From Weber State.
Yeah, Weber State. That's in Utah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are you ready to start previewing the bowl games?
It sounds good to me. I mean, the portal, it's going to be crazy. Definitely can't wait to, see what happens more in the portal in the coming days. I mean, there's going to be more guys off the board. I mean, I forgot to change the banner to Transfer Portal Chaos. We added it college football coaching carousel the entire time. But yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's huge. If Tackett Curtis is leaving, that hurts USC bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, USC. I mean, they need good things to go their way. They're getting some really good guys in the portal, but they need a lot of things to go their way.
Mm-hmm.
With the season they just had, especially not going to the Big Ten. I'm just interested next season and seeing how all these new teams do in these new conferences. That's what I'm waiting to see. You want me to pull up the bowl or you got it? Because my computer might crash.
Oh, crap. I'll pull it up then. I got to charge my computer, but I'll find a charger. Oh, I'm just sad that I lost my 1 point in my fantasy football game because Geno Smith got.
Yeah, that stinks, man. That's definitely tough. It's getting harder and harder to even know who's playing. It happens in college now because you got an injury report list. Same in the NFL. It's been that way forever in the NFL because people bet stuff. Now it's in college, and you think a guy's playing, and then like an hour before the game, they're not playing.
It was literally a couple minutes before the game.
Yeah, a couple minutes. It was so close. I didn't even know about it until the game was coming on.
And it was a Monday night game too, so I couldn't even. I had no chance to change my.
That stings. That really stings.
Yeah.
I guess if a guy is questionable in any way, shape, or form, just don't bet on him.
I should have put in. I had Will Levis at backup. I should have.
If you can't get it, I'll try to do it.
No, I'm bringing it up.
You're good. I just don't want your computer to die.
We were starting off. Okay, here we go. Do you have the opt-out list right?
Rob says
that you can read.
Yeah, I do have the opt-out list.
Okay.
Rob says it's going to be not as easy as they think. In my opinion, Pac schools are not going to roll over the Big Ten. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Same with Texas, Oklahoma going to the SEC. It's been well documented. We'll see. It's all going to start next year, but how are they going to look? It's going to be very hard for them to have success.
All right, here we go.
I completely agree.
We're starting off with Troy and Duke, right?
Yeah, we did all of these games
Oh,
last
crap.
week.
Okay.
All the December 23rds, we did all the way past Coastal. That's it. Just Tuesday, December 26th. First game, you got the Quick Lane Bowl, Bowling Green in Minnesota.
Man,
Minnesota got in
I
because
say
of the
something?
APR score.
Man, Minnesota's like, yes, we're going to a bowl game. And then I was like, oh, we're going to Detroit. I was like, oh, crap, we're going to Detroit for a bowl game. I want to go to, like, Florida or something, man. We're going to Detroit. We gotta hide, make sure that if we gotta hide our stuff, lock our doors, man.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, did they really deserve a Florida Bowl? I
No.
mean, after the season they had, not really. They shouldn't even be in a bowl. So at least they have a shot to get to 6 wins. But Bowling Green, obviously, we know them as the team that beat Minnesota recently. A couple years ago, they knocked them off, and they just beat Georgia Tech. So, I mean, Minnesota, their offense is just not that good. I mean, I don't really know what to say about Minnesota this year because, I mean, they've missed Mo Ibrahim badly because he was like Wisconsin's Braylon Allen or, some of the other backs that they've had, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, when Mo Ibrahim was healthy, he carried Minnesota. And the year they had Tanner Morgan and, the two receivers, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Johnson, those guys, they were really good. But then, obviously, Mo Ibrahim was injured. Tanner Morgan never had the success again. Athan Kaliakmanis, probably even worse. Their offense just isn't there at all. And, I mean, when you look at the opt-outs, because that's very important when trying to figure out who's going to win. We've looked at it for every game, and I got it pulled up. So to try to, get a read on who we should pick because you don't want to just blindly go with one, team or the other. But according to the opt-outs page, and I think that the opt-outs page is fairly accurate. Sometimes they get it wrong. But these are the guys they have in the portal. Again, the guy that Max Brosmer, that's incorrect. We know they for whatever reason, when a guy transfers to a team, they have it as an opt-out. It's not an opt-out. You can't play if you're just now transferring. They did the same thing with Spencer Peters. So he doesn't count, but these other guys, and Athan Kaliakmanis is in the portal too. So I'm assuming he's not playing. He shouldn't be playing. Tough for them, even though Athan Kaliakmanis had a bad year. Minnesota's favored by 4.5, which I understand. It's a Big Ten team, and Bowling Green's a MAC school. I mean, it's probably also important as well to look at who both these teams played because Bowling Green, all I remember is that they beat Georgia Tech. My computer so far is not crashing, so we'll see. I'm going to try to pull this up.
Here, I pulled it up too. You can switch back to mine.
Okay. All right, so you've got on here Bowling Green. They lost to Liberty, and then they were able to beat Eastern Illinois. Lost to Michigan and Ohio. Man, that loss to Ohio was ugly. But then they bounced back to the Georgia Tech win, lost to Miami, Ohio, and then they were able to win most of their games down the stretch. But most of those are bad teams. Buffalo was bad this year. Akron was bad. Ball State was bad. Kent State was abysmal. Like, they won against 4 of the bottom dwellers of the MAC, and then they beat Western Michigan and lost to Toledo. So, I mean, they got some momentum down the stretch of the season, but they clearly
they were all bad teams. They didn't beat any good teams.
Did Minnesota beat a good team, though?
Iowa.
Come on, man. Does that count? Does that actually count? Do we think that Iowa was a good win? Because, I mean, you got to remember Cooper DeJean, that play away from Iowa winning. Remember, Iowa should have won, but they called it back. Remember the fair catch thing?
Yeah, I remember that.
So, I mean, Minnesota, that was kind of a false win. In a way, even though on the record books they won, because Minnesota should be 4-8. They shouldn't even be here. Let's be real; they should not be in this game. And outside of that, I mean, okay, they beat Nebraska in a nail biter in week 1, but Nebraska wasn't that good. Jason says, "Heck yeah, that win counts." I mean, really though? I mean, come on, that was a terrible call. What do you think, Will? This is a tough game.
I just don't think that Bowling Green will be able to score against Minnesota. So I'll go the Gophers to win 14-3.
Man, this is hard because Minnesota's offense is abysmal. They shouldn't even be in this game because Iowa did get, just absolutely destroyed with that call. Like that, they would have had an 11-1 year. Iowa would have been one of the worst offensive teams ever with that, having an 11-1 season. One of the worst offensive teams to go 11-1. That'd have been really impressive. They lost. Minnesota able to make a bowl because of that in the APR score. I don't know, man. I don't trust either team because I think both of them aren't that good. Bowling Green beat the bottom of the barrel MAC schools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Minnesota, I guess. 13-10 over Bowling Green. I'll go with the Big Ten. And Minnesota, their defense, the talent on that side of the ball has to shut down Bowling Green. But I'm going to go with Minnesota defense, like you said. Minnesota, because their defense should pull them through. But their offense, they just can't turn it over and mess up. Because if they keep giving it away and give Bowling Green field position, that's going to hurt. Mitchell Mayer, appreciate you for stopping by. Appreciate the compliment as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love talking college football with Will and, doing these bowl games. It's a lot of fun. I really appreciate that. But thanks for being here. And, yeah, this game is not going to be a fun one if you like offense.
We have a nice over-under of 38.5.
It's going to be under. It should be under. I mean, you remember that I won it Iowa-Nebraska game? Wasn't the over-under like 27, and it was 25. It was only 25, and it still went under. Only 23 points in the game. So if you bet the under, you still won money. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the under on this game as well. I don't usually, talk about that, but the under. Jason says talent Minnesota not come on. I mean, it's because Minnesota's got more guys that could play in the NFL on defense that might be able to shut down Bowling Green's offense. It really wasn't that good. I know they beat Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech had one of those games that they normally have every year. It's going to be interesting, but the Quick Lane Bowl is not going to be a pretty offensive game. I'll go Minnesota, reluctantly.
Yeah, Texas State Rice will have a bit more offense.
Yes. Now, the over-under 60 on that one. JT Daniels, though, I think is injured. I don't think he can play. So he's missed the last few games.
And looking at Texas State here, they have, of course, had that big win against Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, they didn't really do too much impressive.
Yeah. I mean, they beat Jackson State by a lot, but it was Jackson State. The Coastal Carolina game, that one was kind of interesting because even though they barely lost that one, they were down big in that game. And then the rain really started to happen in that one, and then Texas State was able to kind of come back because Coastal Carolina coasted a bit. So they really lost that game by more. And the Arkansas State lost 77-31. That's not good. That's an ugly loss. I mean, they got some decent performances sprinkled in there, but it doesn't really look like Texas State had all that good of a year.
Yeah.
Overall.
That win at Baylor was definitely the high point.
It was the high point, but Baylor ended up being abysmal, and they barely won. It was still good, I mean, for a team like Texas State to win. But TJ Finley is a talented guy, even though he's never really put it all together, and he was their quarterback this year, so that was part of the reason they had success. The good thing for both these teams is that there are no opt-outs, which is good. There are no opt-outs for either team, and the spread has Texas State favored by 4.5. So,
do you want to look
did
at
yours get knocked out? The
one
one you were sharing the screen.
Do you want to look at the season for Rice too?
You can. Yeah, yours got knocked out of StreamYard. You're the one you had pulled up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. I don't know if it's because I put this on here that it cut it off. Okay. Yeah. Rice lost to Texas. They beat Houston. I mean, that
was a crazy game.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. But not as crazy as the West Virginia Houston game, though. Mm-hmm. Not as crazy as that. That game was insane, but still very crazy. But that was the highlight of Rice's season. Beating ECU, they were bad. They lost to UConn. That's not good. UConn did not have a good year, so that was not a good loss. obviously losing to Tulane, SMU, UTSA, all those teams were better than them. And then they beat Charlotte and Florida Atlantic, who didn't really have good seasons. So it doesn't really seem like either team did that good outside of the one game. With Rice beating Houston. But I think the big thing about this is you got to remember that Rice knocked off Houston with JT Daniels. JT Daniels was starting. He did not start those last few games, and you could see that the results weren't as good. So I don't know. Texas State didn't have that good of a season outside of the Baylor win. I know they went 7-5, but they did not have as good of a year as people thought after they beat Baylor. But Rice, with no JT Daniels, because I'm, again, assuming he's not playing because he's been out for the last few games, doesn't seem like he's going to be able to return. And actually, now that I think about it, I know he's not going to be able to play because I remember he's retiring from football. You remember seeing that, Will, on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
JT Daniels is retiring from football. So, yes, he can't play. So, I'm going to go with Texas State to win 24-21.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll go a bit of a shootout. I'll go Texas State to win 34-28.
Okay. All right, so up next, let's try to go to the next bowl without my computer crashing. I'll pull it back up here. All right, we got Texas State Rice. We already did that game. So Kansas UNLV in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Kansas, they were all over the place this season because you had Jalen Daniels at quarterback, then you had Jason Bean at quarterback, and then they had a third string at quarterback. So they were up and down, and they weathered the storm throughout most of the season with all the injuries, but they were still able to find a way, to have success. That shows you the good job that Lance Leipold has done there, that even when they don't have their starting quarterback, they can still win. UNLV, they were a great story this season. But unfortunately for UNLV, they kind of didn't do as good toward the end of the year. They lost. Sorry about that. My internet froze again. But that was not a good look for UNLV to lose to Boise State the way that they did because they got blown out. But still, Barry Odom, it was a success because UNLV has not been good in football in a long time. So I was very impressive that they had the year that they did. I think they went like 9-4. Kansas, if I recall, they went like 7-5. So, yeah, Kansas went 8-4. There you go. Kansas went 8-4, and UNLV went 9-4. And the odds makers, they have Kansas favored by 12.5 points. So they're riding Kansas big. So even though, Rob, as you say, good matchup, that they're going with UNLV big here. As you see the spread for this one, Will, they got UNLV as a 12.5 point underdog to Kansas. And
that must mean that they think. Do they think that Jalen Daniels is coming back, or is it going to be Jason Bean? Do you know?
That could be the case because they only have one defensive lineman for Kansas in the portal, and UNLV has a couple guys, but nothing super significant. Mm-hmm. But if Kansas doesn't really have any opt-out, which I'm sure that they really wouldn't, because, again, they're a school that wants to get bowl wins because they don't normally have success on a regular basis, so it'd be big for them to get this win. I mean, they're, like I said, being favored by 12.5, that's a hefty amount.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Rob said the points. I'm going to bet this tomorrow, easy money. So, I mean, that is a big spread. I can definitely see, your point on that. Appreciate the confidence. Well, he says, I have a lot of respect for Jeffrey and Will. They have a bunch of Rob. Really appreciate that, Rob. Appreciate it. Appreciate you for being here. We love doing these shows every week. A lot of fun talking college football. I hate the season's almost over. We got a few more weeks to go with a couple more weeks left with bowls and the championship, and everything with the playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun. So appreciate you for being here. But, yeah, this game, if Jalen Daniels is playing, there's no way I'm picking UNLV. If Jason Bean's playing, it makes it a little bit more interesting, but I'm probably still going Kansas. Have you found anything on Daniels?
I'm looking. Do you want to look at the UNLV schedule for a sec?
Okay. Try to pull that up real quick.
I shared it in my screen.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Add to the stage. You blow it up just a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it should be blown up or... Oh, wait. Okay. I'll blow it up.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. Okay, so yeah, they lost to Michigan. They beat Vanderbilt. That was, I guess you would say, their big win. They beat an SEC school, but Vanderbilt was awful this season. They beat UTEP, Hawaii, Nevada, Colorado State, but all those teams were bad, though. I mean, none of those were good teams this year. Lost to Fresno State, beat New Mexico. Wyoming was a good win. They beat Air Force on the road, but that's when Air Force was really falling apart. So it just seems like UNLV, yet again, like with a lot of these other teams that have had comparable records, they've beaten a lot of the bad teams in the league. The best win's probably at Air Force. Even better than the Vandy win. It's probably at Air Force because even though Air Force fell apart, winning on the road was a good win. But still, there's not a lot of meat on their resume of good wins. Vandy and at Air Force and Wyoming are the best wins.
Oh, yeah.
But
He had
Kansas,
a great...
I mean...
Yeah, Jalen Daniels is not coming back. He had his shoulder was separated, so...
Okay, so he's done. So it's probably Bean then.
Yeah.
So if Jason Bean's playing, which I'm guessing he is because of the fact that you're talking about, oh boy, Will's gone. Hey, Will.
Sorry, I guess I lost connection. I don't know what happened.
All right, you're good, man. But yeah, we're having a lot of connection issues tonight. Sorry about that, guys. But I'm going to go with Kansas as long as Jason Bean's playing since Daniel's out. I'm assuming Bean's playing since they're favored by 12.5. I'll go with Kansas to beat UNLV 31-20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping it'll be a close game, but with that Conference Championship game at home against Boise, they just did not play well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go 38-20. I'll go a bit more for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I just think that overall UNLV was propped up a bit by their schedule. They were able to get a couple decent wins. They had a good year, and it should be celebrated because UNLV's been awful for so long. But I think that their season was a bit inflated.
I was looking at Wednesday's games. We're starting off with Virginia Tech and Tulane, with Tech as a 10.5-point favorite.
That's steep. That is steep. I mean, Michael Pratt, is he playing?
I'll look it up.
Because if Michael Pratt's playing, how is Virginia Tech favored by 10.5? There's no way. There is absolutely no way. Michael Pratt was too good. Okay, 4 hours ago, Tulane quarterback Michael Pratt won't play in the bowl game. That's why. I bet you that line right there, without Michael Pratt, or with Michael Pratt, if he was playing, then I bet that line's like -5 or 6, or maybe even less. I bet that line shot up to 10.5 once he announced he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Well, they had a couple games without him this year. I forgot which games that they were, but he missed a couple games. The backup quarterback, I don't know how good he is. So this is going to be tough. I mean, I probably would have gone with Tulane with Michael Pratt, probably, because I know I picked them a couple times this year and they didn't look that good. One of the most consistent quarterbacks in college football.
So
they had a lot of bad performances.
Yeah, I believe Pratt missed a Southern Miss, Nichols, and UAB game.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Southern Miss wasn't good, and Nichols, their FCS school, so makes sense they were able to win. But then UAB they struggled with, but still they were able to win the games. ECU, though, they barely beat Tulsa. That they did not look good in those games. And that was with Michael Pratt. They barely beat Rice too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about this. Imagine if Tulane lost to ECU and Tulsa and Rice. How much different people would think that Tulane was this year if they had a loss those games. They barely won. People would think they were terrible. Like I said, the spread is that big because he's not playing. I guess I'm going to have to go with Virginia Tech to win 24-21. I mean, I hate to do it because I do not like betting against Tulane, but that's going to be very tough without Michael Pratt. You see the opt-outs, 3 guys for Virginia Tech. They should have Michael Pratt there, but they haven't updated yet. 3 guys for Tulane. But Michael Pratt not playing, to me, is the icing on the cake to not pick the Green Wave. I'll go with Virginia Tech 24-21.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of Tech fans will be in Annapolis because it's not that far from Tech, and most of Tech's fans aren't in Blacksburg because Blacksburg there's not much to do. I mean, there's like a little shopping center and stuff, but I mean, it really is like, I mean, Roanoke's 45 minutes away. That's like a decently sized small city, but
yeah. There's 2 little cities there with Blacksburg though. There's one next to it. I forgot the name. You got Blacksburg.
Radford.
I'm trying to think. It got me interested.
Pretty
now.
close.
You got me interested now.
But yeah, I'll go with the Hokies to win. I'll go 34-10 Tech.
Yeah, if Michael Pratt was playing, I legit would pick Tulane.
Now
I don't even care what the spread was, but there's just no way I can pick Tulane without him.
And then we got Carolina and West Virginia. I'm assuming Drake May's opted out.
Oh, man.
Did Drake May opt out? I'm assuming.
Yeah, Drake May is not playing. That's a bad blow to North Carolina's chances to win. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was able to lead North Carolina to the wins that they got with that defense. I mean, without Drake May, North Carolina would have been terrible this year. They needed Drake May to even win the games he did. I know Drake May did not have as much success this year as he did last year statistically, but part of it was the O-line. I feel like it was worse, and I believe that because the defense was so bad, he was forcing things at times that he probably shouldn't have, but he felt he needed to win, which is why they struggled so much. But you see the line. West Virginia is favored by 6.5 because of the fact that you have Drake May not playing. And it's not only that. It's a long list of guys. You got a couple running backs in the portal, couple receivers, Drake May, and then for West Virginia, only a couple guys. So that's bad. I mean, having all those guys not playing, because to me, when you look at this game with Drake May and some of those other players, the line would be probably even. Maybe North Carolina favored by like 1. But with him out and all those guys out, that's why West Virginia's favored by 6.5. Maybe West Virginia would still be favored, but I don't think they would be. Omari and Hampton, I can look because it didn't have him on the opt-outs list. But, I mean, if he's playing, that would be huge because Omari and Hampton is a really good player. Obviously had over 1,400 yards this year and was a very underrated part of the offense. I'll look to see if he's playing. I haven't seen anything saying he's not on here, so he might be playing. But West Virginia's defense isn't bad. It's a solid defense. The game is in North Carolina, so that helps out.
Yeah, that's big.
The crowd's going to be big. But see, Carolina lost to Virginia, at home. So, I mean, the crowd might not matter with Carolina's defense. And West Virginia's offense isn't the best. And when you're playing against a team that has a poor defense, that helps you out. That helps a team that's not great offensively when you're playing against a team that's not good defensively. If May was playing, I would go with Carolina. Like Rob said, May was NC. I really want to Carolina defensively is not good enough, and West Virginia will be able to score enough to win, and Carolina's not going to be able to do enough on offense without May.
Well, yeah. What was your score?
Did I cut out?
Yeah.
I said Carolina was going to win 28-24 because of the fact that without May, their offense is not going to be able to score enough, and West Virginia is going to be able to score enough because North Carolina is not good enough defensively.
Okay. We got most of that. Yeah, I want to give Carolina a shot, but all those opt-outs, man, it was too many opt-outs. I have to pick the Mountaineers to win away from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go with the Mountaineers to win. I'll go 31-24 Mountaineers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would easily, like I said, pick Carolina, even though I still would believe West Virginia could win with Drake May, but it's just not going to happen with all those opt-outs. Carolina is just not a good defensive team. Edwards said can still see UNC winning. West Virginia so bad away from home. That's true. That is definitely true. I want to pick Carolina, but the defense, if their defense was solid, you can win without great quarterback play with a good defense, but Carolina's defense is going to probably let them down.
Mm-hmm. And we got the Holiday Bowl, Louisville versus the opt-out filled USC Trojans.
This is a sad game because USC, the brand team, 7-5 playing Louisville. And Louisville, they were not as good as some people thought they were when they were at their peak, when they only had one loss, even when they were undefeated after the Notre Dame game. Louisville was a good team, but they just were not that great. And the problem is but playing – I cut out again. I don't know. My internet is not working tonight. But the thing is that Louisville is playing a USC team that has tons of opt-outs. And check real quick.
There's going to be more opt-outs since more Trojans have just entered the portal the past few days.
Yeah, see, they got all these guys here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I think there's going to be more, too. I've been hearing more are going to go in the portal.
And Malachi Nelson, he's in the portal, the backup. Caleb Williams is opting out, which I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, Malachi was the third string. Miller Moss was the backup. He's going to start.
Oh, Miller Moss. Well, okay. So they got their backup playing, which is, I don't just really see how it's going to matter with how bad that defense is. And you've got 3 guys out for Louisville. This is just going to be a very tough game for USC to win. Like Rob said, these bowl games are tough to predict because of motivation, opt-outs, neutral field. These bowl games are almost impossible to predict because a lot of these teams that people have favored to win would not even be close to favored if the teams were 100%. Look at Old Dominion, Western Kentucky. If Western Kentucky had no opt-outs, there's no way anybody would have picked Old Dominion to win that game. But since Western Kentucky had like 14 guys not playing, people picked Old Dominion. I went Western Kentucky because I thought Austin Reed was going to play. Well, guess what? He didn't play. But they still won somehow. But that's my whole point. How are you supposed to pick these games when there's a million opt-outs, no one's playing, you don't know how good these backups are going to look? But, I mean, in a game like this, it's just like the Carolina game. USC, their defense, it's awful. It still is. It's not going to get any better until next season.
And
they don't have the starting quarterback. So USC, it's just going to be almost impossible to win. So I'm going to go with Louisville to win 31-20. But Louisville's not as good as a fully healthy USC. They're not as good. But with all these players out for USC and more guys probably entering the portal, like you said, Louisville's going to win.
All right, you're back. Okay.
You heard my score prediction, right?
I already forgot what it was, but I did hear it.
31-20.
31-20. Well, it is in San Diego, which should help USC a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't pick them to win. I'm gonna go. It might get ugly. I'll go 41-14 Louisville.
Mm-hmm. You could be right, man. It really could be that big of a loss because, like I said, USC, like the motivation factor, how much are they even going to be motivated for the game? All these guys that are out, how are they even going to look? It's almost impossible for anybody to pick them. I mean, could they win? I guess if Louisville plays an awful game, but I mean, Louisville should be able to score fairly easily on that defense. So I think Louisville's going to win, even though a fully healthy USC team's better. Louisville's going to win.
Do you still think with their defense being that bad that a fully healthy USC team's still better?
I think they're better. I think they're a better team. I'm not saying USC would win. Louisville could win, but I think USC is a better team. Just because USC has 10, 12 guys that can play on Sundays, Louisville has like 4.
Yeah.
I mean, USC is the better football team, but they're not balanced correctly. Yeah. The defense needed better talent. They needed better coaching to be good. And Louisville, you know, they don't have as much talent, but they're better coached right now overall. Even though if Lincoln Riley can get the right staff, which a lot of USC fans are hoping with the new DC will help with that, then maybe they'll be able to win with the more talent in the future. But Louisville's just going to win because they have the players playing, and USC doesn't.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have Oklahoma State taking on Texas A&M. This should be a good game.
So, okay, right. I don't know if you heard anything I said there.
I didn't hear any of it.
I'm not even going to be able to use these segments, man. This is bad. This is abysmal. But A&M's favored by 2.5. They're 7-5. Oklahoma State, they lost in the Big 12 title game to Texas. Oklahoma State's not a great team. They're a good team. And when they play right, they can, you know, have success. But they got blown out against UCF right after they beat Oklahoma. And then the way that they played against Texas, the Big 12 championship, it just was not impressive. But A&M, they have so much talent, but they always underperform. You look at the opt-outs page right now. A&M has 6 guys in the portal. Oklahoma State is 3. A&M's favored by 2.5. So, like I said, I mean, what do you think? Because I don't really know what we're gonna really see from A&M.
Well, you know how I said Jerry Kill doesn't win bowl games. Mike Gundy wins bowl games. I feel like Mike Gundy. I feel like he's won almost all the bowl games that they participated in. Although I did think that they lost to Wisconsin last year. So. But this year, I think their team's a lot better than last year. I think they'll win their bowl game. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State to win I'll go 34-28.
Well, I think part of the problem, too, is because Connor Wegman, you know, he got injured. And then Max Johnson's transferring. So they're going to have a third string, right? So that's part of it. They're going to have a third string QB. Oklahoma State, they're going to have their starting quarterback, Alan Bowman. And Ollie Gordon, he's playing, right?
I believe so.
So if he's playing, that's key. I'll look real quick because that to me is like the difference maker. If Ollie Gordon.
Well, it sounds like he's staying at Oklahoma. He's staying at Oklahoma State, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like he's coming back.
All right. So if it's funny, Mason says, I dislike both these teams, so I hope A&M wins 3-0 in a boring game and gets poor ratings. Well, it's going to get ratings because, you know, A&M being a brand team, it's going to get ratings. And it's at night, but I know what you mean. That's funny. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma State because they got their starting quarterback. They got Ollie Gordon. A&M is a third-string QB. We don't know how many more guys are going to be in the portal. There'll probably be a few more. Oklahoma State, I'll pick them to win 31-21. And like you said, Mike Gundy does win bowl games. But if A&M had their whole team, I'll probably go with them. But the opt-outs have made picking bowls so difficult that sometimes you just have to pick the team that's got less players not playing, less players that have opted out.
This one just looks like a mismatch. SMU and Boston College, man.
Oh, man. Give me SMU. Give me SMU big. Let's check the opt-outs first. But, boy, oh my goodness. Boston College's opt-outs, man. Whoa. Unbelievable. A bad football team has a lot of opt-outs. SMU only has 2. This might be a bloodbath. Boston College, I'm sorry. You made a bowl game, but you might have not wished you did. You might have wished you went 5-7 because, wow, SMU, I'm going to go 41-14. We're going Mustangs big over the Golden Eagles. Castellanos is not going to be able to save the day. Looks like he's playing. Didn't see him on the opt-outs list. But Preston Stone had a great year. SMU, they should have been in the New Year's Six game. And they're going to be angry that they're not. So they're going to play hard, and they're going to destroy Boston College. Give me SMU big.
I'll go 38-10 SMU, man. BC, I can't believe that.
Such a blot. This was easy. Oh, man. Jason says, holy crap, we'll have an allowed. BC's going to have to get some guys from Holy Cross and Harvard to play in this game. Rob says, BC, even Boston doesn't care about them. I don't hate you, Boston College. I don't hate you. I just hate it for you that you're in this game. It's not a good – you need a Bowling Green. You needed somebody low, not that good, but you got SMU and angry SMU. They put Liberty against Oregon. Why did they do that? SMU, even – I did a Twitter poll. 70% of people said SMU should have been in the game. I agree. Happy for Liberty. They went undefeated. SMU's a better team, though. Should have been there, but they're going to win big.
Oh, here we go. Rutgers and Miami.
Ooh, this is hard, man. Miami is so tough to predict. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. This is hard. Oh. Looking at the opt-outs, Rutgers is 3 guys. Backup quarterback Evan Simon in the portal. Miami, Tyler Van Dyke, obviously, and a whole host of other guys. Chaney. Miami favored by a measly 1. I mean, if they had their full team, this wouldn't be close, and you know the spread would not be close. Miami would probably be favored by 10 or 11 points with a full team. Because they have all these guys not playing. Is the backup quarterback, remember that freshman guy for Miami? He got injured.
I think he's out, but I'll look it up.
He's out.
Yeah.
So it's a third string guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hummus Hero says, odd to realize SMU and BC will be a conference matchup next season. Doesn't feel right, laughing out loud. No, it doesn't. And SMU's probably going to have a lot of success against Boston College when they're in the ACC, unless BC can improve, which it doesn't seem like they're getting as much steam as Syracuse is.
All right, I'm looking it up.
Yeah, that's going to benefit Rutgers because of the fact Rutgers has their starting quarterback, Gavin Wimsatt. I don't know, man. What's your take on this game? Miami's the better team, but the opt-outs.
All right, Ja'Cory Brown is going to play in the bowl game.
How good's he?
I'm looking. He was a 4-star in 2022. High ceiling, low floor. So
it's basically the entire Miami team. I mean, we're talking about a Miami team. It's always high ceiling, low floor. Oh, they could win 10 games. They could go 4-8. I mean, Rob says it right here. The U could win by 50 or lose by 50. I mean, that's the way it is.
You know what? It's a home game for Rutgers. I'm going to go with the Scarlet Knights to win 21-20.
Oh, no. They putting all the pressure on me here. What do? Do I go with Miami? Do I go with a team that you don't know what you're going to get from them? Do I give Coop's team a chance? Miami's so hard, man. I do agree. I think they've lost too much.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know how Ja'Cory Brown's going to do. I mean, that low floor, I don't like the
low floor scared me away from
like,
picking
no, that literally was enough to push you to the Rutgers side. I mean, he's low floor. Well, it could be a bust here. With a lot of guys out, it's going to be harder for him to win. And it's in the Bronx. Very close to Rutgers, like you said, Yankee Stadium. I just don't think Rutgers is that good. I don't. I think Rutgers is decent, but I think that a lot of people thought that they were actually better than they were. This year, they were not that good. Indiana lost to them, obviously, but Indiana was still figuring out Sorsby at that time. I think if Indiana played them at the end of the season, it would have been very close. I guess I'll go Rutgers 21-17 over Miami. I can't believe it. I'm sorry, Miami, but you got too many players not playing. I'll go Rutgers, but if Miami was fully healthy, I'd pick Miami big. But I guess they've got so many guys out. Rutgers
they do have Restrepo healthy, so for Miami's sake, hopefully they can get them open and just throw it to them, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This one's interesting. NC State, Kansas State.
This is a good game. Now, I have to see the opt-outs, like with everything else, because for how good of a game this is going to be, it's going to come down to the opt-outs. Yeah. NC State with a lot of guys not playing. And on the K-State side, a lot of guys not playing. I mean, I knew MJ Morris and Will Howard were not playing, but I didn't know that so many other guys were not playing. So, Kansas State's favored by 3. Who is the backup quarterback though? For
Avery Johnson.
He's talented.
Yes.
You said he was pushing Will Howard for the job. NC State is Brennan Armstrong. I'm sure he's going to play with Morris, gone. I guess since Avery Johnson's talented and K-State probably has a better team overall than NC State. As NC State had more guys in the portal than K-State did, I'll go with Kansas State to win 28-27. I'll go 1-point game.
Yeah, I'm still not buying the NC State offense. Even with Brendan Armstrong. I'll look at how they did. I hadn't watched. They did score 39 points on Carolina and 35 on Tech. But I mean,
it's Carolina though. Bad defense, but
yeah,
still good.
I'll go. Yeah, I'm leaning K-State. I'll go Kansas State to win. I'll go 28-24 Kansas State. I'll agree.
Yeah, Jason says, geez, lots of turnover at NC State. It's crazy, too, because a lot of those guys, I mean, some of them are solid, but you just wouldn't expect NC State, after the year that they had, to have so many guys not playing, and leaving. That's crazy. But I'm with you. I think Kansas State's just a little bit better, not as many guys in the portal, and Avery Johnson might be enough with his talent. And NC State, I think they were a good team, but I think the Big 12, the teams at the top of the Big 12, I think were better than some of the better teams in the ACC. Not Florida State, but like the Louisville's, NC State, some of those teams, they were good, but they're not great. So I'll go K-State.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if Avery Johnson's hair matches his play, because he's got that Trevor Lawrence-like hair, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, Quinn Ewers used to have hair, too. And he got rid of it.
We have Arizona, Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. This is a fun one. We have Jackson Arnold and Noah Fafita. It'll be fun.
Yeah, but as you can see, though, the opt-outs here crazy for Oklahoma. Got about 10 guys roughly. Could be more. Arizona only has 2. I mean, the reason that you see Arizona favored in this game is because Noah Fafita, the way that guy played all year long once he became the starter, insane. And Oklahoma doesn't have Dylan Gabriel. And they got Jackson Arnold, who is talented. We It's been well documented how talented he is, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. Noah Fifita is more experienced. And Oklahoma's losing a lot of guys around, what he would have, Jackson Arnold would have around him. So that benefits Arizona.
Yeah, both guys are true freshmen, which is crazy.
Which, like you said, is absolutely insane to think of Noah Fifita as a freshman with the way he's played, but the experience still matters. It's in Texas, so, it's in the region of both these teams. It's closer to Oklahoma, but, it's not going to be an insane drive either way. There might be more Oklahoma fans. I don't know that with Gabriel out. It'll be interesting to see with that, but Fafita's played so well, and he's going to be hungry for this win because it would really boost Arizona's outlook for next year. If they could win, even with a loss, it wouldn't be that bad. But I think that a lot more people will put stock on Arizona if they do win to possibly be a threat in the Big 12 next year. Oklahoma leaving and beating a team like that. If Oklahoma had Gabriel, I would go with them. And I'm tempted to go with them anyway because of looking at Jackson Arnold being talented, and Oklahoma still as a whole probably has more talent on that field. But Noah Fifita, he's defied odds all season. I'm going to go with Arizona. Did you hear my score prediction?
You cut out right before you're about to give your score prediction.
I'm going to go with Arizona to win 35-31 over Oklahoma.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Arizona in a shootout. It's pretty much what I was going to say too. So I'll go 38-35. I'll go a little higher.
Yeah, I mean, me and you, we've agreed based on every game. I almost went with Miami, but these games though, with the opt-outs, I won't say it makes it easier to pick because it's tough, but it just feels like a lot of these games, how they're going to go based on the opt-outs. So even though it's tough to predict, you just kind of take the team with less opt-outs, more motivation to win, and that's kind of the team you go with. Depressed Raiders fan, appreciate you for stopping by. Says, how about the Seahawks? Yeah, the Seahawks, man. I mean, that was a big win. They needed it. But appreciate you for being here. He says he wants Arizona to win as well. Going with the out west schools. We'll see if they can get it done. But Noah Fifita having a great year. Arizona has to keep him. He cannot transfer. It'd be great for them if he can stay. But it was a lot of fun doing these bowl games. Sorry about all the internet issues. It was abysmal tonight with the internet, but it was awesome having you guys here in chat. You guys were great. Appreciate you all for stopping by, and it was a lot of fun doing it with you. Will, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, just transfer portal has been crazy. Hoosier carousel has been crazy. Really excited about my Irish without Jared Parker, and hopefully we can get Kirby Moore from Missouri. That's who Marcus has been looking at. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully that for you that they will be able to land him, and that would be big for the offense. Rob says big name schools usually don't show up for minor bowls. I agree. And Homosira says Fafita is small but mighty for sure. Later, guys, good show. This is Jason. Homosira, thanks. Got a great stream as always. Really, again, appreciate all you guys for being here despite all the internet issues. Subscribe to the channel. If you guys are new, share the stream out on social media. Like the stream down below as well. But most importantly, thanks for being here. We will be back next week. Hopefully, trying to find a time to do it with Christmas coming around. Maybe on Will's channel, do it next week. More bowls, more portal news. Appreciate everybody for being here. Great show. And it's going to be awesome to see what happens with the portal and during bowl season. Thanks for being here, everybody.